Hope I find you well. Okay, thank you for recording. For everyone out there, obviously this is being recorded for quality and training purposes. Um, welcome. My name's Stephen Feast, and as you probably well know, I'm a property investor. I'm here to chat to you tonight, give you a bit of a rundown on what my journey's been and experience, and yeah, share with you, I guess, some of what I've learnt in the journey, and hopefully it either helps you in yours or get started. So for those of you who haven't got the chat up, worth putting that up. Thanks, Carol. Yeah, feel free to put in the comments as we're going. I've got Jono, who's obviously Wealth Mentors CEO, in the background here, so he can answer questions as we go if you've got any. But otherwise, I think thanks to those who are on time, we'll kick off, and anyone who's late can catch up. So hopefully you'll be able to take something away from this. Always like to start with a quote. If you want to have more than you have, you must become more than you are. That's really what set me off on this adventure into property investment. You're probably wondering why I'm here, and you might be able to tell from the background. I am not a professional presenter. The main reason that I'm here tonight in front of you is because someone once did this for me. As I was in a situation, and I'll use the proverbial I because it's really a we, my wife and I. But yeah, we were uncomfortable and looking for knowledge. And to be honest, Wealth Mentor weren't our first. But we came across Wealth Mentor and I guess a property investor who learnt a recipe he'd been taught himself, rather than live rich and happy, decided to share it, and that's really why I've decided to come on tonight. Is my old man had a saying that's obviously stuck with me, and he was always like, leave things better than you found them. And if the opportunity exists, I guess, for me to impart a bit of knowledge or get you motivated if you're not already a property investor, some confidence to take that step, then that's really what I hope to gain here. So that's why I'm talking to you tonight. You could probably consider me, I guess, a signpost. You know what? Tonight I'm really going to talk about all the different parts, the ingredients, some of the learning. It's unfortunately in a power hour, we can't get into the how too much, but feel free to put on some of your questions if you've got something specific, and you will do the best to answer that. But consider me a signpost. I'm about to show you everything that is out there, what's possible, and really then you're going to have the choice, the opportunity to go on a similar adventure to me if that's what you choose to do. So why are you here? Oh, I'm going to guess you're either very intelligent, somewhat uncomfortable, but most likely a combination of both. You're here to, because you want to gain knowledge, I assume. You found Wealth Mentor, and it's a smart move. It really has the potential to be life-changing if you want it to be. It certainly was for me, and for us. So what we're going to cover tonight, I'll talk in a fair bit of detail about what my property investment journey has been. You know, hopefully with that, like I said, someone shared their journey for me, told me that it was as simple as follow this recipe. And you know, hopefully that can point you in the right direction. The important ingredients as I understand them to be. So, but also this is very much a part of what Wealth Mentor shares in its masterclass. We'll talk about some successful recipes. So, you know, deals that are going on right now. I see Tim online. I've got a funny feeling I'm actually going to talk about one of his because it's recent. Some of mine have sort of been, you know, in play for a little bit longer. So, you know, we do obviously want to make it recipe because, you know, like I was skeptical when I started, you know, like some of the stuff that you get shown seems too good to be true. And, you know, the old saying, it probably is, but what really is important for credibility for me, putting my face in front of you is to show that there are deals out there today to be done, you know, money to be made, despite what you might hear in the media about it being, you know, difficult times and banks and interest rates and all the doom and gloom. So, and then obviously the opportunity to learn to cook. This is Wealth Mentor's masterclass, and this is the start. This is learning to cook is the how. You know, we're going to talk about the what and the why a bit tonight. You know, why would you want to learn to cook? What's the benefit of learning to cook? Naturally, with a last name like Feast, the recipe, the cooking analogies probably fit. So yeah, me, Stephen Feast. Who am I? Husband, father. Yep, that's definitely dominating my life at the moment. Solution specialist. This is what I guess what's been my role up until recently. Yes, thank you. Don't have the mo at the moment. So solution specialist was my role. I worked with John Deere in agriculture for about a bit over a decade and loved the title because literally my job was like working with farmers to find technology solutions for, you know, to improve productivity and sustainability, you know, beyond just buying a tractor. So that's sort of been my most recent skill set. Obviously, I big note myself, blow my own trumpet, accomplished property investor. We'll talk about that in a bit more detail in a sec. Business development consultant. So in my role with John Deere, ultimately I evolved into working, you know, mentoring, coaching the dealerships through, you know, developing their business and how to be prepared for what's coming, especially with technology changes and things like that. And then, yeah, aspiring MasterChef. And yeah, funnily enough, I did apply for the first MasterChef. I thought a name like Feast, surely they're going to, you know, take me. Didn't even get called back. So, but I do like cooking. That's my, what do you call it? Serenity. So, and yeah, obviously I'm a team. So Belinda Beattie, who is also, I guess, and probably more active in the Wealth Mentor team. So she does do some mentorships and things like that. So yeah, no doubt you've probably seen her around, or certainly will see her face more and more. This is the fluffy stuff. Yeah, got a dog, some kids, got married, live in the Byron Bay of New Zealand. So despite my accent, I am here in Raglan. But this is probably what you're most interested in, and this is I guess a bit of our property investment journey. So first bought a property in Australia in 2012. That was me prior to meeting Belle. I'll be honest, part of the reason that we got motivated and uncomfortable for buying property is we got it wrong, or not got it wrong, but we didn't really learn anything. And I'm going to talk about that in a bit more detail, but effectively, in Australia, we sort of purchased between us, because when we met, Belle had one, and then we bought one together. So we purchased 4 properties, the last one being 2016, then had a baby, and Belle went back to work. And in 2017, we realized that our investments were costing us $1,000 a month to keep. This is investments, and we were paying for them, and we were just like, what are we doing? We were working 3 weeks a fortnight between us with a new child. And the reason that one of us had to work was to actually pay for our investments. It's just like, it took us a while, not long, to be fair, but like, we just hadn't got it right. And that's what motivated us, I guess, to get out and learn. Obviously, property investors are successful, right? Far better at it, or certainly don't seem to be in the situation that we found ourselves in. So we ended up, through the course of that, selling 3 of the 4, ultimately to free up the capital and serviceability, which is important. Which this is the banks looking at your ability to support loans, and moved to New Zealand, so that we could really take advantage of the opportunity that was here. So we bought our first property in 2018, which you can see there in the top left picture. That, if you can believe it, we bought without a single cent of our own money. So for anyone who's out there going, how do I buy a house? I can tell you it's possible. No point me specifically getting into the how of it, but like, that was bought with other people's money. And that's a 3-unit, 3-bedroom units in Wanganui. And we bought the first one without any of our own money, and then that one bought the next one, and so on and so on, to the point where we currently own 10 properties. And to be fair, it's probably more like, we have subdivided them, so it's actually about 16 technically, worth about 10 mil or thereabouts, on paper. So from 2018 to now, nearly 5 years, we've gone from debt to 10 mil of asset value, only half of which is effectively lending. So we are generating nearly 500 grand in rental income from the 28 tenancies that are across those 10, 16 properties. And that keeps me off the streets for now. So but yeah, it's also a job, right? Like, 28 tenancies keeps you busy. That was our strategy. We wanted the income. We did do a couple of flips in that, and mostly that was just opportunity to buy something bigger and better. The motel complex, which you can sort of see in the bottom left, was one of the reasons we did a flip. So in those 2 flips, we made 425k. You can see a few houses on the right hand side there, and the one in the bottom right is, I guess, our latest project as we've evolved. We're now commencing a townhouse development, which was about purchasing a property that had that development potential. So this is another really big step up for us. It's big money when you're talking about 3 mil of like just building costs. So yeah, does definitely take your attention. And this is, I guess, who we really are. So for anyone who's interested, yeah, I'm not just faking it. This is our, I guess, our brand, and part of what we did is coming together. Belle obviously looks like she's doing the important work there. I didn't even get a seat, which is fine. I'm used to that. So obviously, why property investment, and why are you clicking on, why you're listening to me and my annoying accent? Well, the opportunity in property investment is, in one deal you can have a year's salary. The opportunity around equity and leverage, it's, the banks love it. They want, they like property as an asset class, and yeah, that ability to leverage off it, the fact that you can only have 20%, actually only own 20% of something, yet still take it to a bank and leverage the full amount. So creates wealth for your portfolio. And property has that proven track record, and one investment done right can change your family's life. This is Jono's quote. For anyone who doesn't know Jono's the CEO of Wealth Mentor. That's his ugly mug. So no doubt you'll see him on the screen. Oh, handsome is a matter of opinion. Thanks. But yeah, so obviously Jono was around when I sat possibly in your shoes, watching a presentation much like this. He was sort of a part of the, I guess, the Wealth Mentor group at that stage. Now, obviously, the owner, I think, yeah, the guy presented, one of the guys that presented to us was one of his partners in the past. So one deal can be 1 year's salary. And just to prove that, there is deals like this out there. This is a property in Timaru. Its purchase price was 160 grand. Yes, it needed 160 grand renovation. That was, the plan. So that was the recipe, I guess, that was that was presented. This is the stuff that you can learn through the masterclass if you haven't already had that experience. And yeah, the post reno valuation is up at 480 plus. That's 140 grand profit. Apologies to anyone who earns more than that. It might not be a year's salary, and to be fair, there's going to be tax and things in that, but that's the opportunity. And this is, in this instance it would be a flip, but I'll get into more of the specific strategies in a sec. This is really the most important reason for choosing property, and property specifically in New Zealand. When you look at property prices and what they've done in recent history, obviously you can see a little dip up the top there. There are dips all the way, that's part of the property cycle, but inevitably property is going up, and whether you're doing short-term or long-term things, this is one of the opportunities. And I'm going to talk to one of my deals, a property that we've been holding since about 2019, so about here in Wanganui, and sort of show you how that has had an opportunity for us. So want to know more but don't know where to start? Well, let me tell you about my start. And I tell this story because it's what not to do. This is a picture of me and my dad there in the background, him teaching me how to play cricket. Doesn't look like he's teaching me that well. looks like I'm about to get cleaned up. But why I bought a house is because, my dad, who was a primary school principal, my mum a teacher, when I got to the end of high school, primarily their wealth was two property purchases through the course of their life, to something that they sat on for 20, 30 years. And so, I join the dots and go, okay, well, the secret to, or my wealth will come from buying property. And so I just bought a property, and I didn't have knowledge and I didn't get trained, and maybe if I wanted to work for the man for 30 years, then, that particular strategy would have, probably would have worked out, if I'd slowly paid that off for 30 years and, property prices went up, but, I would have been wealthy too. But, when someone shows you that there's a different path, a fast one, one that you can, do in 5 years, don't copy your dad unless he's a property investor, in which case copy your dad. But my dad wasn't a property investor, and ultimately that's that was part of the lesson for me. Now the other thing about that is, my dad, they have comfortable wealth. My mum certainly does, from from a couple of property decisions. My dad busted his ass. He worked for 40 years as a primary school principal, and 6 months after he retired, he was diagnosed with terminal lung cancer, and 15 months later he was gone. So before he ever really got to benefit from his wealth and his decisions, he was gone. So it put a lot of things in perspective for me, as it probably would for some of you who might have had a similar experience. But I didn't actually take any action. I mean, it changed the way that I looked at the world, but I didn't really do anything about it. So back to talking about recipes, and obviously recipes have two parts: ingredients and the method. The method is the how, and not really going to get into that tonight because I'm almost halfway through the power hour. And haven't started talking about the ingredients, but that's what I guess is important to know at this point, and hopefully might identify what you don't know, and where to go to look for that knowledge. So where to start? Strategy is key to everything. It was the fundamental ingredient for the success that Belinda and I have found. We set strategy, training, the next critical step. Once you know what you're aiming for, then you tune your knowledge, your accumulation to that. In property investment, the next thing you're going to look at is area, but without strategy and training, you're probably not going to know where to go. I mean, like I said, I just bought a house, wasn't a great area, didn't really improve in value in the 4 years that I owned it. Then you're going to do research into that area, research into those teams, and then you're going to do a transaction. That's how you start property investing, and then it's rinse and repeat. Fortunately, it really is just art after that. Oh, I've just made that up. Then it's just art. So let's talk about strategy, break it down. What are the ingredients of strategy? Importantly, it's about defining your goals. Like if this is a recipe, what type of cake do you want? What it's like, if you don't know this, then when you get to training, I'm going to teach you how to make pasta. So you need to be quite specific in your goals. And it's like, for us, it's like, we want to buy a yacht. Great. How much does it cost? How much does it cost to run? What are the actual numbers? Like these goals need to be defined, and they're your why. And that's why we can't get into the how, is because my why isn't your why, but this is your motivation and a critical ingredient to, to property investor success. We'll quantify your financial position before you get worried. This is, this is just about knowing, about how to tailor your training. First we know what position you're in. We can define that and then tune the strategy to that. I mean, you might need to flip first before buy and hold and so on. So this is an important step. We'll talk about that more. Obviously, identify the training requirements. That comes after these previous two, because now we've got the direction. We focus your effort on what you need to know, not everything that's out there. Locate the tools. Baking a cake. Do I need a mixer? Can I do it in a bowl with a spoon? Really, this is about your team, and this is about who are the players that are going to support you be successful. And setting buying rules, and again, this is about the recipe, right? This is not emotion. This is just a set of rules, an equation, a set of instructions that you follow to bake a cake, except you're going to buy a house and you're going to make money. There's a number of strategies, and that's why understanding this, knowing who you are and what your strategy is and what you're aiming for is important. Owning a home is probably the most common that's out there. I'll be honest with you, 10 years of property investing before I've lived in a house that I bought. So you don't need to own a home to start. And in fact, in some cases, it's probably beneficial not to. That's certainly the advice, that the team around you can offer. Then there's buy and hold. It's exactly what it sounds. Trading, flipping, which is buying them, selling them for more than you bought them for. Obvious profit. Multi-income properties, and then developments are probably at the top. Starting with developments, it'll be bold. Risk reward. It doesn't give you a lot to fall back on if you built it. There's benefit in building a pyramid like this, but they're all the strategies that are out there. So let's talk about team, and this is when I started, I completely did not understand this. There are key players before you even begin that you need on your team. And again, this is the value that Wealth Mentor gave us. We inherited a team in some respects, and that's part of again why I'm here and just talking to you. Property accountants, first people you talk to. We bought all of our first houses in our own names. Maybe that was right. It's certainly not how we go about it now. But property accountants, offer the advice, set up the pieces that you need. Mortgage broker, they're your money man. Of course, you need, someone like them on your team. Solicitor, super important. If you're going to do deals, write contracts, you need someone who's a specialist in contract law, especially if you're trying to do creative stuff in this space. And they can be great for that. Property manager, for us, buy and hold strategy. This person is responsible for our income. So they're a key part of the team. Contractors, obviously, they're your builders, your plumbers. If you're doing renovations, if you're doing builds, they're area specific. So again, part of why you need to identify your strategy first. And property agents, important, because if you're trading or flipping, not only you're buying, you're also selling. So these people are a part of your team. What are buying rules? Again, this is unique to everyone, right? This is something that you do very, you dive into in great detail in the masterclass. It's again, one of the most important ingredients for what that I attribute to our success. So what are they? It's things like, what do you need to buy? Like what makes the deal a deal? What strategies are needed to add value? Are there options to exit the deal? Do you have targets around cash flow? Are there minimums? Because these are your equations, right? Like, they're rules you buy to them. And is the project going to be legal and ethical, and will you be able to repeat? I mean, legal's just like, is there something bad, or is the contract dodgy? Someone playing you. So that's the bit about strategy. I really just want to quickly run through some of the terms. Bear with me for those who know this, and there's obviously going to be different levels of knowledge here. So just let me run through this relatively quickly, so that as I start to talk to some of the deals, you'll understand what I'm referring to. So equity, hopefully it's obvious. Let's say we have $1 million house, 400 of mortgage, the equity is 600 grand. What's LVR? LVR stands for loan to value ratio here in New Zealand. So what's the LVR? If you've got $1 million and the bank will lend you 80%, then you've got an 80% loan to value ratio, 80% of the 1 mil. Hopefully that makes sense. So what is usable equity? Same numbers again, $1 million house, bank's going to lend 800 grand. You've only got 400 grand. That means there's 400 grand of usable equity. And this could be you in a situation if you own something now, but it also applies to the deals that you might do as you start property investing. So, what's the equity doing if you don't leverage it? And this is where, property investment really starts. So how do we leverage the equity? We've got that usable equity. We know the deposit required, and that's going to define your purchasing power. Like I said, equations, the method, it's a recipe. So let's use an example at 60% LVR, because that's where, I guess property investment lending exists today. So we have that 400 grand, which we identified before. That's 40% deposit. So that means, in theory, we could be out there looking for $1 million house. That's our purchasing power. So let's look at a real deal. This one is Napier. Hopefully it's not too soon. I know they've had a bit of a battle over there. So, but this is a property that settled in August. And just to be upfront, I mean, that's relatively recent in property investment world. Just to be upfront. So it's settled in late August. It's a multi-income property. So you can see there, it was purchased for the 733,000. It needed a renovation of 35,000. That was the opportunity in it. It also had good cash flow because it's a multi-unit. And then the opportunity is, or the net result here is, post reno, it's valued at 950 grand. So this particular deal, again, was done 100% LVR. So the investor didn't put any of their money in as a deposit. It was, leveraged off, possibly value in other properties. So, that 20% or 40% that was needed for this deal probably sat in another house, and that's the opportunity of leverage. So, equity gain is the massive opportunity in this market. So if we can buy below value and understand the perceived value, then there's an equity gain. And again, it's just an equation, right? A method, a recipe. The options from the back end of that deal are, do we refinance or can we sell for profit? And look, I like this. Buys if property prices will never increase. This is really important. I mean, what we don't ever want to do is, avoid, if possible, is the buy and hope strategy. And that's what, prop buying and hoping, which is what we did in Western Australia. Buy a house, hope that it slowly appreciates over time so that its value, it was putting equity in it. That's why we negatively geared. It seemed like a pretty sound strategy. Great. Yes, fair enough, the rent isn't going to cover the mortgage. I'm going to pay for it out of my own money, but the property is going to increase in price. I didn't choose in the right area. I chose in a country town. Guess what happened? It didn't go up in price. And so my plan was flawed from the beginning, but it took me a number of years to see that, really, once I got uncomfortable. So how I read that is, what does that really mean? And what you're looking for in property investment, what I'm looking for in property investment is manufactured growth. So growth, gain, whatever it is that you can make. You control it. It happens on your terms, at your timeline. It's not something that you're waiting or hoping for. And manufactured growth comes, I guess, in a number of ways, and it's about adding value to the property. So in buying it, what are you going to do to add value? You can just make that money in the buy potentially if you want, but cosmetic and structural renovations, extensions, conversions, there's opportunities to change title when you got tricky things. This is why you need the solicitor, because this is where you need someone who's a property solicitor who understands it, that can tell you before you make a decision what the opportunity might be. Adding dwellings and subdivisions, consents, the usage, and then obviously market rent. And again, this is your team, right? This is your, I would call my property manager and I would have them go through a property and say, what's it rent for now? Could it rent for more? And if they say yes, then that goes into my equation, right? That's an opportunity. So for us, these are the ones that we've sort of stuck to when we're, or not stuck to, but focused on when we're, looking for properties. I think they're, in some cases, the low-hanging fruit. So what's the formula to be able to do it again and again and again and again, until you get to where you want? Well, it's purchase your investment, get that deal going. Your purchase, you've got your deposit, 6 of it, you've got your mortgage. It's the revalue, the calculation that you can do before you got into the deal. So now you've revalued that same property at $500,000. Your new mortgage is 300 grand. Now, if the current mortgage is 180, then what that's done for you with the bank, with your mortgage broker, they've just spat you out 120 grand, because you just get a new mortgage, you pay off this one, there's the leftover money. What are you going to do with it? Go again. 120 grand, 40% LVR means we can borrow 300 grand. Where are you going to get a 300 grand deal from? Oh, wait, here's one that we've talked about before. So, and they are out there. And all you really need to do, this is a confidence game. And I'll talk about that a bit later, but just want to go back to the one we talked about with Napier, a different strategy. And again, this is why, knowing how to play the game, what different options are available to that purchase price there. Obviously, that person did 100% lending. Let's say we did 30%. Put a 30% deposit in. Still cash flow. Reno's the same. The new value, is the same as we previously talked about. The cash flow now is less, but still great. and you haven't put as much money in up front. So effectively that money, you know, you haven't put that much lending up front. Sorry. So you got better cash flow. So if you wanted to refinance that out, this 950 grand, the new lending at 70%, this was the old loan, the renovation. So again, money out, 153 grand. That means you could now be out there looking for a $500,000 property. And these deals exist. This is real life. This has happened, you know, in the last months, and it still cash flows with the new lending. That's the opportunity. So I've probably talked about a few of those, but what I really want to move on to is one of my deals here. So this is a current project in Wanganui. That was the asking price originally, bought in 2019, you know, and it's about opportunity here. We bought it for 300 grand. So we made a little bit of money in the buy. At that point, the LVR was 70-30 for investors. So we put 90 grand of our own money in. Now, just so you know, that 90 grand had actually come out as profit out of another deal. So we refinanced that out. So we bought this house. The money that bought the first house is now buying buying another house. We didn't do any reno, didn't need to. Property manager flat out said, I'm not going to be able to get you any more money for it, so don't spend anything on it. So we were just getting that rent, and so it cash flowed. So this is after costs. 5-bed actually, Tim. Yeah. You'll see a photo in a second what it looks like inside. But you know, this is where you trust your team, right? That is 10%, over 10% return on our money. So in 2021, obviously, you know, values went up, so it got revalued at 520. So we got new lending, now admittedly at 60% LVR because the rules had changed with the government. So that was our new loan. The old loan we'd got was 210. So that 102,000, that's what the bank gave us. They gave us $102,000 into our bank account when we got this new loan. So now I don't actually have any of my original money in that deal. Like, not only have they given me the $90,000 we put in to begin with back, they've also given me another $12,000. This is what it looks like inside, by the way. Like, it is pink and peach and all the horrible colors. But, you know, like it's a nice house. It's got new oven and dishwasher and all that sort of stuff. Like, and it's in good nick. So yeah. Now I get $9,600, but that doesn't cost me a cent. Like, I got all my money out. This is, when you look, yes, fair enough, I could take that 102 and go and buy another house, but my return on investment, like, you can't actually get a number because you divide anything by 0 and it's infinite. And, you know, that's the opportunity. This is the, you know, there's the short game, and then there's the medium term, and then there's the long game. But, you know, this is the opportunity in property, and that ability to roll out your money. So what next? One of the opportunities with this place, it was always 2 lots, 1 house, 2 lots, 1 title. So now we're going through the subdivision, and what we've done, so it's got that current value. What we've identified is we could build another, and it's sort of transportable, like it'll be built off site. And these are estimates, just so you know, like, but because it's only a 10-meter wide block, but we're going to put a 4x2 long skinny house on this. It's actually going to be 2 2x1 units. But total cost, if you're wondering where that number is, that's this construction plus the loan from the previous one, right? The 320 grand from my previous slide. So this is our money in the deal. The new value that we've got on these is over $1 million. So the profit, should we sell both, is near on 400 grand. I think our strategy at the moment is actually going to be to like keep the new one, sell the old one, clear all this debt, which is, you know, the majority of our cost. You know, if you take 520 from 670, it leaves us this 150 grand loan. But because we've made two 2x1 units out of it, this is our new income. That's the total income, obviously not, you know, not a net, but these are the strategies when someone can, you know, show you a recipe and you just like, whoa, like I've got more steps. It's like, not only can I make a cake, I can cut that cake into pieces, stack it, cover it up in icing, make it look like a house. You're probably sick of that analogy by now, but anyway. So training, you know, in this whole where to start, training's the next bit. You know, I've talked about the ingredients. I couldn't be a bigger advocate for the importance of the training. And like I said, Wealth Mentor went out first. We went out looking for education. We, you know, signed up to some other I guess property organizations, you know, did their training, but then realized that it didn't necessarily align with the strategy, you know, what we were trying to achieve in our goals. And so although we invested in that training, like we didn't, you know, it's knowledge for us, but we didn't really take it any further. So I've talked about the property masterclass. This is what was the beginning of our, I guess, journey with Wealth Mentor. There's a masterclass coming up. So it's not this weekend, next weekend. So Saturday, Sunday, it's obviously completely virtual. It sort of runs for anyone who's not in New Zealand. It runs from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. on the Saturday, and then 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., give or take, on the Sunday. Like, this is where you get into the how, right? Like, this is where you get into the method. And this is me on my soapbox. You're not going to get confidence from not doing something. And ultimately, starting property investing, for anyone who hasn't done it, is about confidence. How do you get the confidence to take that first step? For me, it was about surrounding myself with people who had done it. So, you know, like, I didn't need to know the how for everything. I just needed I needed to know that if I didn't know the answer, that there was someone that I could ask. And that's what Wealth Mentor ultimately provided me and us. Yeah, we've encountered some crazy, you know, problems along the way and navigated them all. And that's why our success, you know, is what it is. This is what you're going to learn. You know, we've got the development strategy, social housing. I've talked a bit about the power teams, but, you know, the opportunity to meet some of them, you know, to hear them specifically talk, negotiation, tax, mindset is obviously, you know, really important. The market analysis, the numbers. So, you know, how to create the wealth, the foundations of property and building a portfolio. It's intense, like, but it's, you know, it's potentially life-changing or not, if it doesn't result in action. But certainly virtually everyone that's part of this Wealth Mentor team, are all products of it. Here's the prettiest one on it, on the team. This is Belle. So yeah, she often speaks and has done some some of the presentations in the days. Therese. So I haven't met Therese, but she's one of the more recent Wealth Mentor success stories, I guess. So she's started off with a number of strategies, and I think she's actually evolving her strategy now into developments. You got Paul, bloody good bloke, loves a good yarn. Just if anything developer, like he's built like a bazillion houses, I don't even know, but like he's a big player in New Zealand, in the south of the North Island, on all the building committees. And anyway, you could never get all of the knowledge out of him that he has. We've got Ryan, who's a bit of the analyst. Carol, Helen. Now, for those who, Helen was the person who stood up and did this when I was sitting in the room, watching a. We were sitting in a room. Yeah, it wasn't virtual in that day and age. So she was just a testimonial. She was just a person who had 6 months at it. Crazy successful accountant by trade, so knows the numbers, and she talks a lot to that. And then who's this guy? Oh, Jono. That's right, Jono, without a beard, obviously, leader. And they're the team that worked through with you on the 2 days. So one of Jono's quotes: everyone's property journey is different, but education is sure to speed it up and reduce the risk. And that's the key, right? Like, it's risk reduction. Like, how do you take the step and know that, virtually avoid the mistakes, right? And find your way to success the first time. And it's people that have done it. Sometimes it's not what you know, it's who you know. So this property masterclass, obviously not this weekend, next weekend. You can scan this QR code if you're interested in it. It is going to pop up a little bit later. The link has been put in the chat too. So it's what's in it: the virtual event, there's a one-on-one strategy consultation, the online resources, the lifetime event support, and a strategy call. It's normally nearly $1,500. I'll be upfront with you. Belle and I paid like nearly $4,000, and I'd pay it again tomorrow. Unbelievably, Jono is doing it for $295. Now, it is first 5 to register for the opportunity. Obviously, it's only a week or 2 away. Why only 5, given it's virtual? There's only so many mentors, and when we're talking about doing all the one-on-ones and those meetings, in a similar way to like if it was a physical class, it's about having the resources to make sure that you get the bang for buck. So there are obviously 5 spots at this $295, which is just a crazy. The important thing, this coupon code here, PMC5, that's critical if you're keen to join the masterclass. You need to make sure you use that code to get this price. Obviously, if you're desperate to come and for whatever reason you're not one of the first 5, reach out to Jono directly and have a chat to him about what the opportunity. Jono, do you want to put the email address up in case anyone wants to chat to you about the opportunity? So the most important ingredient for our property investment success, well, I mean, this what I sort of promised you. I'll be honest, it's me. well, and Bell. So it's us, but to be serious, the most important ingredient for your property investment success, it's actually you. I can't do this for you. There are done for you models out there. I guarantee you they're not going to give you a $10 million portfolio in 5 years. Like, this is it's your drive and determination and discipline that contribute to the results. It's the research, the relationships that you build, the resilience when things aren't going well. Your results are a product of your effort and expertise. And I mentioned ego there, and that's just about pride, right? Sometimes you've got to swallow it. You've got to not be too proud to stick your hand out to the world and ask for money. Your ability, your attitude, and your analysis, they're all responsible. Mindset, management, motivation. You can probably see what I'm doing here. Your dreams are completely up to you. Having your dreams, I can't give it to you. Wealth Mentor can give you the knowledge for it, but if you want more than you've got, if you are uncomfortable, learn, see whether this is the opportunity that changes your life like it did for us. And that's the guts of why I wanted to stand in front of you, sit in front of you tonight, and hopefully give you the confidence and credibility, that this is the real deal. If you want to become a property investor, this is a genuine path to it. So this is something that I love, because Bell's Bell's in the Air Force. Yes, I'm batting way above my average. So she got said this. I mean, you may have successfully avoided failure, but you never risk success. And that was me. That was me copying my dad. I wasn't doing it bad, but I also wasn't going to be where I am today if I just stayed on that path. So obviously everything's better with your friend. This is Jono, giving you some love. So support is important. I've done it with Bell. So your partner joins it at no cost. So obviously it's $295, and it's not just you. And realistically, you can bring whoever you want. It might be your life partner. It might be a friend. It might be a family member. At this point, do not get caught up on the how and whether you've got money to start. I guarantee you, that's not a reason that you shouldn't learn this stuff. You can buy houses without having a cent of your own money, and the masterclass is the key to this. I wouldn't have believed it if I hadn't lived it. It's probably the biggest block for many of the people. A lot of my mates that I've just talked to, none of them have really followed it. A few have, but it's crazy how it just that more people don't. I just can't believe it. But anyway, this is the login. If you're looking to sign up, don't forget to punch in that code. And so really that's me. Like I said, no professional at presenting, but hopefully you've got something out of it, even if it's just some new knowledge, or interesting to hear me blab on for an hour. I'm a few minutes over, so thanks for sticking with me. It's great to get this opportunity to share my journey, and like I said, hopefully leave it better than I found it. Yeah, the time is now. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'll can I go back? These are a few quotes for those that are interested. They're testimonials. I'll click past this because realistically, like you're looking at the best testimonial that there is. But these are some of them, recent attendees. I'm trying to see if I recognize any of them, but I have been to a few of the events in the past as a testimonial. So yeah, I don't think but you'll certainly be hearing from people that have just walked the same path as me. So that's me. Thanks for joining us, everyone. We'll stick around for a few minutes to answer any questions in the chat. Feel free to unmute if you wanted to talk. Scan the links there. So the one on the left is the property masterclass. That'll take you straight to that login site. Or if you want to chat to Jono, you can scan the QR on the right there.